Cammy Menzies stuffing Barneveld 6-1. Luke Woodhouse getting the better of Ryan Meerkel by the odd leg 6-5. Watamina beating Cullen 6-5. Dukes beating Decker. That's a bit of a shock for me. 6-5. Ryan Joyce with another disaster, losing to Moreno Blom. James Wade winning 6-0.
134. Connor, you require
your
96.
action for the evening on Euro Tour 7, the Dutch Darts Championship. That gets underway tomorrow afternoon, I think midday.
Game shot on the first leg, Conor Heenahan.
And then it's back to the proper darts tomorrow, 7:30 on our YouTube channel. Every day's a school day when it comes to darts. And he gets the job done identically to how he got it done in the final match of the session last night.
Darius, you require
Jack Cattrall points.
Game shot on the fourth leg, Darius Labanauskas.
Danger. Facing the trap door, disappearing from the equation in regards to qualification. Darius Labanauskas has completely turned it around. Bradley Brooks 2-0 up, was cruising, but then it's completely turned around, and Darius Labanauskas, I think, will feel that he is there. A man who recently picked up a WDF title. We may be seeing him on Champions Week final night. A 4-2 success over Bradley Brooks, move him on to 8 points. Bradley Brooks stays bottom of the table on 0, but the next one is the one. Jimmy Van Schie takes on Cam Crabtree.
Cam, you require 85.
Single 20. That's a bonus, double 5. Gets it very clean
Cam Crabtree.
and needed. 12 dart, break back.
Cam, you require 67.
Looking to regain the lead. That was dangerously close to the treble 18.
Wasn't it? He would have.
But Jimmy's got to get the job done. And does, with minimal fuss there at the end of that one. Jimmy Van Schie is up and running. Cam Crabtree, a lot to ponder here. He started the day with a 4-point gap over the qualifying places, but he's played 2 matches and picked up no points. Jimmy Van Schie is now closing in and showing that form that recently picked him up a WDF ranking championship. Can he get himself into finals night? But coming up next, we've got Bradley Brooks, and he's going to be taking on Conor Heenahan.
This is for Conor Heenahan.
10. No score. Bradley, you require 5.
This for his first win of the group.
Game shot and
he gets there in the end. It was never going to be the case that Bradley Brooks went through the group without picking up a win, and he's finally got there, but it may feel a little bit late for him, and the dejected look there is probably due to the fact of how the week has gone for him. He's hit the post on many, many occasions, but on that time he scored the goal, the 4-2 victory over Conor Heenahan. But coming up next is another big clash for Jimmy Van Schie as he takes on Darius Labanauskas.
Never did. Absolute toilet.
180.
Well, that could be the best thing that Jimmy Van Schie does today. A beautifully timed maximum. But that's in. It's tops.
100.
Great effort.
Jimmy, you require 47.
Yeah, here's a good one, and it's relatively recent. What happens if Littler hits that double 2 at 5-2 in the Worlds?
Double 16. 8s.
31.
And I can tell you from experience, you give Darius Labanauskas a chance like this, more often than not, it goes.
nowhere near.
Game
Wow,
shot on
that'll
the
hurt
fifth
if you
flag,
stood behind
Darius Labanauskas.
watching that. It's the
Darius
nature of it when you
40.
look over the years, but Darius here, he needs tops to be the first player to move into double figures, and he finds it and gets there in the end. Darius Labanauskas tops the table, 10 points. By my calculations, he is pretty safely through to tomorrow night's final. 90.94, very close, wasn't it, in terms of averages? 90.54 for Darius, 180 apiece, and 40% on the finishing for Darius Labanauskas. Well, we'll have a short break, a quick chat with Chris Murphy and Matt Egger, and then we'll be back for Cam Crabtree against Bradley Brooks.
Double 8 for Cameron
16.
Crabtree. Over to double 4. 2's chasing it round.
12.
Wow.
Bradley, you require
They all
70.
looked a little rushed, didn't they?
Edgy. Look at
Singles,
the angle of that dart.
yeah. Single 16 for tops.
50.
Well, you talk about
Cam,
edgy.
you
They're all
require
over the
4.
place. Darts kicking in. Just none of them released with any sort of conviction. Crabtree gets a second bite at the cherry, and
Game
this
shot
time
and
gets
the
the job
match.
done. Well,
Cam Crabtree.
that doesn't confirm Cam Crabtree through as of yet, but what it does do is it means that Bradley Brooks can no longer qualify. So Bradley Brooks is eliminated from Champions Week. We'll see him later on, where he may still play a part against Jimmy Van Schie. For Cam Crabtree, he's not there yet, but he is pretty much through the door. Leg difference can still come into play. But if Jimmy Van Schie cannot beat Conor Heenahan next, Crabtree would be through. Let's see how that goes in a couple of minutes' time.
Connor, you require 40.
This would hurt this. Jimmy Van Schie, a double breaker throat.
Game shot on the
He's
third
in
leg.
big
Conor
trouble now,
Heenahan.
and we may just be moments away from knowing our final 6. Could be the conclusion of the race for the places. It's tops.
Game
And
shot
it is.
and the match.
It's over.
Conor
It's
Heenahan.
done. Conor Heenahan is through to finals night, as is Cam Crabtree. Jimmy Van Schie, his race is over. He's on 4 points. He can only reach 6, and we now know the 6 is all done and dusted. We'll dissect all of that throughout the next game when Darius Labanauskas takes on Cam Crabtree. This could be for the match, double 16.
Game shot and the
Cushy
match.
work there
Darius
for Darius Labanauskas. It wasn't there for Cam Crabtree from the very off. Didn't really look settled. He had a bit of cramp throughout that game, but the tension has been there pretty much all night for Crabtree as he embraces with Darius, who now hits the top of the table by a couple of points. But we do have a couple of games still to go. Bradley Brooks will be taking on Jimmy Van Schie.
So they can sew your limbs back together. Good idea, Matt. Not one of your better ones, that. I
140.
think sticking to TikTok might be the better idea. Cuckoo is playing in the Swiss qualifier for the World Cup of Darts. Mal.
83.
Good luck.
Jimmy, you require 80. Game shot on the first leg. Jimmy Van Schie.
Good luck to Matt Edgar getting...
You require
your friend.
128. Game shot on the third leg. Bradley Brooks. Jimmy, you require 40.
Will he do that right here? On double 10, he
Game
will.
shot and the match.
Decent
Jimmy
performance
Van Schie.
to sign off. Not his week, and neither that of his opponent, Bradley Brooks. A disappointing end to a campaign that looked on course to get him through to Saturday night's final in Group A. Not to be. A 95-57 from Jimmy Van Schie signs off with that 4-1 win. When we come back, Conor Heenahan against Darius Labanauskas.
Require 10.
He's not going to split. And that's a super guide.
Game shot.
Gets
and
the
match,
reward.
Conor Heenahan.
Follows the dart in quite beautifully, and like I said, important for Conor. Was defeated by Darius last night 4-1, and back-to-back wins for Conor Heenahan in what's been a very tidy campaign, and he wins the group, both him and Darius finishing on 12 points, separated only by leg difference. There are the averages: 92.84 for the winner Heenahan, 93.65 for Darius. Well, let's get a roundup of all the action with Chris Murphy and Matthew Edgar.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris. An interesting week. We now have our 6 Champions Night finalists. Conor Heenahan winning the group in the end. A deserving winner for you?
Well, I guess the bookies got it right, didn't they? We questioned it at the start of the night, suggesting maybe it should be the other way around with Darius Labanauskas in that way, but they saw something in Heenahan and he came through for them there. And Conor Heenahan has been steady all week. He's been okay in patches, but that low at the early on just sort of was a bit of a concern for me, where he finished in the bottom 3 averages on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, but he's really sorted out in this group and he knows how to win weeks. He knows what it takes. He's one of the most experienced players in this sort of format, and on the back of winning that group, maybe we just need to look his direction a little bit tomorrow, because we know he's got that explosive nature within his game.
Yeah, a lot of the damage was done last night for the 3 players that went through. Here's what happened tonight. The results early on actually did delay what in the end proved to be the inevitable. Cam Crabtree in particular losing those first 2 matches. Only got 1 win tonight in the end as well. Where does that leave him going into tomorrow?
Uncertain, and I think his qualification week, he felt uncertain. There was moments of brilliance, but the highs are so high and the lows are so low, and when you're playing in this sort of field, you're not going to get away with that. It needs to find somewhere in the middle, especially with some of the players. We've got Rhys Robinson, Bo Greaves that are going to be coming his way tomorrow night, but I think this is shaping up to be a very good sort of finals night, and I don't think we've got one player that you'd think you'd hang your hat on. I think when we've had Champions Weeks in the past, when Luke Littler was here, you'd always say Luke Littler. When Scott Taylor, he looked like he stood out. When Raymond Smith, he looked like he stood out. I think this is possibly the most open one we've had since the first one when Conan Whitehead won.
Yeah, who do you think it would mean, or who do you think it would do the most for winning this Champions Week? Whose kind of career would it change the most?
That's a great question, because I think it'll do it all for different reasons. I mean, if we take the 2, what I think are the 2 favourites, Rhys Robinson and Bo Greaves, I think for Bo Greaves, it's going to give a confirmation of the talent. And we know she's stuck with the ladies' game a lot of the times. This was sort of one of her moves into open gender sport. She's also played some of the development tour events. And the week she had here, I think, validated that decision for her. But I think if she was to win a Champions Week, I think it could really sort of change her philosophy on her own career, because we know she sort of looks down and up, so to speak, at her career. And I think it maybe just raise her confidence levels a little bit in what she can achieve. Where for Rhys Robinson, he's been around the game for quite a while now, and he's always played well, but he's never had that moment to show for it. And I think maybe for Rhys Robinson to have that, I wouldn't be surprised if Rhys Robinson wins this tomorrow if he's in tears on that stage, because what will happen is all those years of travelling and sacrifice, dating back since 2011 when he first burst on the scene, that's 13 years, and he's still not had his moment. And I'd love to see him get that.
What about someone like Conor Heenahan, who obviously won the group tonight? Most of his best stuff has come here at the Super Series, so it would be a real fitting champion, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It would be exactly the same as Jim McEwen, who sort of used this as sort of where you'd associate him with. A lot of people, you say, oh, he's a PDC player or a WDF or a development tour player. For Jim McEwen, I see him as a Super Series player. And it's the same with Conor Heenahan. So he'd be a very fitting face of the series going forward.
Right, we are going to just talk through the players that have made it through to finals night here on Champions Week. This is how they got there. Bo Greaves, the winner of Group A, as Matt mentioned. Heenahan winning Group B. Harrison winning Group C. The 2 runners-up, Darius Labanauskas and Rhys Robinson. And in the end, Cam Crabtree in 3rd place. Now, I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win, but I'm going to do it giving you the benefit of knowing who's in what group. So here are the groups for Champions Night. Group 1, Greaves, Robinson, Labanauskas. Group 2, Crabtree, Harrison, Heenahan. Does that change your mind on anything?
I'm really looking forward to Reece Robinson, Bo Greaves, and the 180 market on that is going to be something I'm really excited to see because they are two massive 180 hitters. I would have been looking at between Reece and Bo, but I think the fact Andreas Harrison's in a different group, I think that could play quite... Can I have 3 people?
Go on, you have 3, Chris can have the other 3.
I'll have Harrison, Bo and Reece.
I'll say how happy he is about that tomorrow, but they do look real standout groups, as they should on a Champions Night. Look, some of the Champions Nights we've had here, you mentioned Scott Taylor, Jim McKeown winning the recent ones, 2 for Luke Littler before that, all very special. What could happen tomorrow that would make this stand up there as really, really special as well?
To see what it means to the players. This is a sizable trophy now in the world of darts. This is a sizable paycheck. The only way you're going to earn more money in a one-day event or a one-night event is by winning a world championship of the amateur side of the game, whether that's the WDF or on the seniors tour. They're the only prizes richer than this one. So this is a sizable night for these players, and I really want to see what it means to them. And I like things like Britain's Got Talent. And one of the things that really, you get the emotion because you get to see the hard work and the graft and the sacrifice and the dedication that they have done to hone their craft to get to that point. And it's the same for these guys tomorrow. I want to see that sort of, and I think we see that most from Reece.
And this place behind us, of course, it's going to look a little different tomorrow. It'll be sold out. Luke Littler, when he spoke about just over 100 people fit into this venue. It's kind of very different feeling, but a mini experience of what might be to come later in a successful career. And he said it felt like a lot more than that. What can that do? What dynamic change can that mean for the players? And can some sort of thrive and some maybe sink?
Instant feedback. That's what it is. You hit a 140 here, it's great, you hit a 140, but you hit a 140 with the crowd, you get that little ripple of applause. That makes a difference when there's a reaction to what you're doing, a reaction to your process. And that is something that they don't have to deal with all week. And for some of them, they don't deal with it that often. And if you're not dealing with it on a regular basis, you forget. You forget what that feeling's like. You forget what it's like to be on there in front of an audience. And it will play its part at times, absolutely. And it will change the dynamic and the feel. But for some people, I think it's going to bring them alive. I keep going back to Reece Robinson. And maybe I'm doing it as I'm foresighting something that's going to happen. And I think he's the sort of player that will really relish that sort of instant feedback in that crowd.
Well, we will find out tomorrow. Thanks for your company this week. We'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you as well. If you are lucky enough to be one of those 100 here at the Live Lounge, then we will see you here. But if you're not, then of course the action starts, as always, 7:30 live on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel, when somebody will have their name added to the Roll of Honour, pick up a record £25,000 and lift the trophy here at the Live Lounge.